Welcome back to the Cleaning Indie Podcast, brought to you by American Facility Care. I'm your host, Tom Moore, along with my co-host and beautiful wife, Sarah Moore.
Thank you.
On this podcast, we endeavor to strengthen the relationship between the contractor and facility manager by providing you with relevant information on all things FM and cleaning related. All right, well, how's everyone's day going today?
Fantastic.
Awesome. On our last episode, we talked about our quiz on our website, cleaningindy.com. We looked at the fourth question, which was, is it difficult to arrange meetings with the actual on-site contractor? Today, we want to look at our fifth question from the quiz, which is, do you frequently encounter missed trash cans and other overlooked items, during the cleaning sessions? So before we get into that, I just want to mention I was reading an article from cleanlink.com this week on indoor air quality, specifically to do with eliminating versus masking odors. According to the article, in order to remove the odor, as we know, you have to eliminate the source. And in the years past, I was working in a building and they all of a sudden had fruit flies appear out of nowhere. Maybe you've experienced that in your office or at home. This time of year, they just come out of nowhere, it seems like.
And they're small, but I feel like they're small, but so irritating for how tiny they are.
Yeah. But at that time, the kitchen staff couldn't figure out where the source was. And then we just decided to pull all the trash cans out and pressure wash them. And then that kind of eliminated the source as well as the odor just in one step. But according to this article, solutions may include odor neutralizers that chemically bond with malodor molecules to eliminate them. It also could include air sanitizers that kill airborne germs and improve overall indoor air quality. The last thing, it might include enzyme-based cleaners to break down the organic matter. And it's actually a process of this organic matter digesting the other bad organic matter to eliminate the odor-causing bacteria.
Yeah, and another solution is to design a program that actually supports indoor air quality. It's important to know that the differences between these key products. Air fresheners. These are products that are designed to improve the smell of a space by masking odors. They don't kill germs or remove airborne pollutants, but they enhance the perceived cleanliness of a space.
Yeah, the perceived is the key point there. Like, it's nice to go into any building, any room, and it smells nice and it gives you the perception that it's clean, but you got to actually clean behind that too. Yeah.
You can't just always use air fresheners. And the next one is air sanitizers. Unlike air fresheners, air sanitizers kill bacteria, viruses, and mold spores that contribute to the odors and poor indoor air quality. The most common examples of air sanitizers include sprays, foggers, and UV light systems. And we've all heard of different things like that, especially during flu season. You might want to have someone come in and use a fogger and get kind of the air cleaned up so that the spread of the flu doesn't continue going.
Only when the building's empty, right? You don't want your people sitting at the cubicle, especially if they implement the UV light system. You don't want to be baking people as they're in the building. These are things that take place when you're out of the building.
We don't want people having to put sunscreen on before they come into the building instead of out of the building.
Yeah.
The next thing and the last thing is odor neutralizers. Odor neutralizers are specially formulated products that chemically or biologically break down odor-causing compounds at the source, eliminating them, which I just think is an amazing thing, the different things that science has come up with to really clean our air in a way. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah, if you think about scrubbing a surface, like you can see the surface, so you could feel it with your hands, but the air also can be scrubbed through these scientific methods. It's really cool to think about. So as a facility manager, office manager, it's something to think about implementing into your facility. Well, that kind of ties into trash cans and eliminating the cause there as well. Let's go back to that. Imagine with me, Sarah, that it's a Monday morning. And what's the saying that nobody wants to hear about Mondays?
Happy Monday?
I don't know anybody saying Happy Monday, but
someone's got a case of the Mondays.
There it is. There it is. Happy Monday, man. That's a funny one. Somebody's got a case of the Mondays. Nobody likes hearing that, but imagine
I wouldn't want to hear Happy Monday either. That's
true.
Weird.
That's true. That person's a little too happy to be spouting that stuff. But let's say you come in from the weekend, you're well rested. And the first thing you do when you get up to your door, maybe there's a trash can, external trash can at your building, and you notice that it's full. That's a bummer on a Monday. Nobody wants to see that. And maybe you come inside further and you're walking to your office and you notice a couple other trash cans along the way that seem full. And then you start to wonder, did the cleaning company even come over the weekend and clean, or Friday, whenever their last time was? And did they even show up?
Yeah, that's something that could happen. There can be some different reasons for this. One is perhaps your cleaning crew is made up of a few folks from the office, and the weekend was calling out to them. And so they finished their work a little too quickly.
Yeah, I mean, who would want to spend their time cleaning on a Friday after you've already put in your full day's work?
Yeah.
It's not fun. I know it's necessary at times, but oftentimes employees that you hire at your company, that wasn't something that they were expecting to necessarily handle. And maybe they're paid extra to do, but that's easy to forget when that's not their primary job responsibility.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then the second thing is your workplace has a weekend shift, but you don't have a plan to remove trash from the break room, and it makes the workplace smell when everyone comes in on a Monday. So maybe you have a weekend shift, but you don't have your cleaning crew working on the weekend. So it could even be just 15 people. But recently I was in a building on a day. I went in, checked everything looked great. Went in the following day around the exact same time and walked into a room I had walked into the day before. And there was this horrible, horrible smell. And I'm just thinking, what in the world is that? And we finally realized the trash hadn't gotten taken out yet for that day by the cleaner. And when we opened up the trash can, someone had thrown fish in the trash in a bathroom trash can, which is kind of weird, but it was disgusting. And that was only between 24 hours there that had gotten into the trash. So imagine someone throwing some shrimp scampi if they got fancy for lunch on a Saturday, and that sits there for 2 days before your cleaning crew gets to it.
Yeah, lovely fishy garlicky smell. Yeah, not fun.
Yeah.
Maybe the last reason that this happens is maybe the most common.
Oh yeah, you outsource your cleaning to an external cleaning contractor, and they're the ones who miss the trash. It doesn't have to be trash; it could be anything, but that they miss, like a conference table or glass or something like that. But it could be the contractor's fault.
Yeah. So while we say, we're talking about missed trash cans, it could be a missed, like you said, it could be a missed table, or even whole room. We'll talk about that. But I want to mention that there's really a spectrum on which this happens. You see, on one end, you have what we call trash and dash. And again, you could apply this to anything, but it's when a company comes in and they move a few things around. They take a few trash cans out. Maybe they get all the trash, and then they're out of there. That's one extreme. On the other side of the spectrum, the cleaning crew does a good job for the most part, but misses a few items once in a while. And it's very common for a cleaning company or an internal cleaner to miss a few trash cans while they're getting used to the cleaning route of the building. But today, we'd like to focus on kind of that middle part of the spectrum, where things they're not the worst that they could be, but they're far from being okay. And the problem really needs to be addressed. So this is definitely something that you would be bringing up with your cleaning company and kind of holding them accountable for.
Yeah, let's take a look at what might cause this to happen. Ultimately, we know that everything goes back to communication. I think that's what we basically come back to every single time we sit down here. And so that's the most important thing. However, when we asked in a LinkedIn group of facility managers, the number one thing that cleaning companies lack, they overwhelmingly said training. So let's dig into that point a little bit. It could be that they just switch cleaners for that shift and they aren't up to speed yet with the cleaning routine.
Yeah, so that's a very common thing to happen. So solution would be that, the manager who's training the new cleaner just stays with them a little bit longer, maybe a few more days.
Yeah.
Spread out over some weeks so that they are very familiar. Really, it's bringing two things together. It's bringing the needs that you have communicated as the building manager, facility manager to your cleaning contractor. And he in turn is communicating those very needs specifically to the person on site who's going to actually do that thing day in and day out. And that's where a lot of failure happens. It's the relaying of that information and the training for how to accomplish that.
One thing too you can do as a cleaning company is talk to your contractor and say, when you're training, how long does your trainer stay with the person? So it's important to get that information so you know what their process is.
That's right. Yeah.
Another reason an item is getting skipped too frequently is that there's a discrepancy on what expectations are or what gets cleaned in the building. This usually doesn't apply to trash cans, but there could be a room that seems to get skipped a lot, and the cleaning company either forgot that it was on there after the initial walkthrough, or they're skipping it for another reason, such as lack of training. We have this sorority that we cleaned, and I used to call it the labyrinth because it was just designed where you could get lost in it very easily. And there was a whole room that we didn't include in our contract. We didn't even know it existed. And we went along with the contract for about a month, and then we got a complaint saying, "Why aren't you cleaning this room?" And we said, "What room is that?"
Yeah, it was a vague room in a dark end of a hallway, behind a closed door that the person leading us through didn't know even themselves or remember themselves that it was there.
Yeah.
So one way to solve that is to have each of your rooms labeled and marked. And so it's important to do that. And then maybe there needs to be a second walkthrough after the initial walkthrough with your new cleaning contractor to just ensure that, hey, this room is to be cleaned and the frequency of it. And here's maybe a closet that doesn't need to be cleaned as frequently, if ever. So, yeah, having a clear scope of work where you're labeling everything is the way to solve that, so you can ensure nothing is getting skipped.
Well, we want to tie up this conversation with the sixth question on our quiz, which is, have you noticed a lack of concern and communication from the manager of your cleaning company?
Yeah, this kind of ties together with what we were talking about.
It's really important for the manager to have good communication with his or her cleaning crew. We've heard of instances where the building manager would point out some specific things that were missed in a cleaning of a restroom or a different part of the building, and that message would be lost in the communication to the actual cleaner that has to do the job.
Specifically in restrooms, there's so many items that are easy to be overlooked, and if you're communicating that, in this particular case, I'm thinking they did some drilling into a wall to mount an air freshener. We were just talking about that. And there was some drywall dust that floated down to cover the base cove kind of on the edge of the floor where it meets the wall. And it was kind of in the corner of the bathroom where the cleaner, it's not as easily seen. This is the company that came in before us that we got the contract from. And it was important to the company that was giving us the walkthrough that their cleaners actually walk the whole bathroom and clean up to the wall. So it's important to have a cleaning contractor who understands the significance of communicating that with their on-site cleaner. And that when you have an issue, to be able to not just communicate that, but to ensure you have a process and a system of checking and inspecting to make sure that it's actually getting taken care of for you. On the next episode, we're going to ask, do you suspect that the cleaners waste time while on your premise? And we have a funny story. This is hilarious. There's been multiple instances that we have personally come across where we have heard of the cleaning company having janitors that were there before us who were literally clocked in, but not on the cleaning route, but hiding in the janitor closet. So that's something we're going to talk about. Do you experience the situation? And some have answered positively that they...
Do you have janitors hiding in your closet?
Yes. We want to expose that. No, we want to give ways that we can help avoid that from happening in your building. When the janitor clocks in, they need to do their route, maybe take a break at some point, and then finish their route and clock out. So that's what we'll look at next week. All right. If you like what you're hearing, would you leave us a review wherever you're listening to this podcast, whether it's on Apple, Google, or Spotify? And if you're watching on YouTube, hey, give us a thumbs up and subscribe.
For more information on this, you can visit our website at cleaningindy.com. That's it. We'll see you next time.
See ya.